Um, Good evening, President Gutmann, distinguished guests, and fellow students. Tonight, I would like to share with you just two simple stories about the profound impact that Penn has had on my life. And what's interesting tonight is that my time at Penn has been a continuation of a dream that began a long time before I was born. That is, my father's dream. My father, Peter Mechev, grew up in an impoverished village in the mountains of Bulgaria, and he lived in a life of communist surveillance, corruption, and absolute poverty. But after graduating from engineering and doing it 1 year early, he always likes to say, is that his first job allowed him to go to West Germany, but only under the careful and watchful eye of two government officials. Resourceful and determined, he realized that this is one way he could make his escape for freedom. He hid his passport and his university diploma under his shirt, and as his train was passing the former Yugoslavia, in the dead of the night, he jumped off the train with nothing on his back. He ran that night across the Austrian border. Over the next 18 months in Vienna, my father could hardly contact his family in Bulgaria, and so when one day he was walking in the city center and he overheard his beloved Bulgarian being spoken, he stopped. He approached the two women at the table and asked if they could take a letter back to his family. They agreed and said, in fact, they were going there next week. They asked that night for him to come to their house. When he arrived, however, he saw a bearish man standing in front of him. He had unknowingly walked into a trap with the Bulgarian secretary of the consulate and standing in front of him, and those two women were in fact state spies. In the silence, he knew he only had two options, either death or a labor camp in Bulgaria. He asked whether he could go to the bathroom, and breaking a window about this large, he ran for his life once more. Austria was no longer safe for him, and within days he applied to emigrate. His dream was, however, to go to the United States of America, specifically Philadelphia, because to him it represented the birth of US democracy. However, Australia, a country he'd vaguely heard of, accepted him, and within days he flew to Australia with no English, a few dollars in his pocket to start his next chapter of his life. I relate this story tonight because it was my father's dream to come to America. However, through the generous scholarship I received from Ambassador Murphy of Germany and his family, as well as the Penn World Scholars Program, it is me who is living his dream. I will never forget that moment in 2008 when my dad had just settled me in King's Court and turning with, a slight tear in his eye, and he's never cried in front of me in my life. He said in his now slightly Australian accent, "Penny, please go achieve what I could not. Be kind to people, and above all, never forget those who need your help." It is these principles which have guided me at Penn, and it's the reason why I love coming to this school, just because I am surrounded by expert faculty but talented students who make going to university an absolute joy. I have the pleasure of studying both finance, international affairs, and German through the Huntsman program. And as a freshman, I was elected to be the Wharton chair, so it's also been an honor to be able to work with the administration at this university. And finally, I think what looking back on my 4 years, has given me the greatest joy is working with talented students to be able to found new clubs. So over my time at Penn, I've established a corporate responsibility club, a magazine focusing on international business issues, and most recently helped found the undergraduate Wharton Europe Club. But the story doesn't end there. I actually had a second transformational experience because of this education I'm receiving at Penn, which once more links me back to my family in Bulgaria. As a student of the Huntsman program, you must study 1 semester abroad in your target language. So in my sophomore spring, I went to Munich, Germany. While I was there, I took a course on World War II and began research on Bulgaria's treatment of its Jewish citizens. Despite being a German ally, Bulgaria had actually refused to deport its Jewish population. As I was analyzing the documents surrounding this event, a name of one of the agents of the rebellion stuck out at me. The name was Rusy Ivan Marinov, and it occurred to me that Marinov was actually my mother's maiden name. So I asked her, "Mum, do we have any relatives in Bulgarian politics?" There was a bit of silence on the phone, and she said, Well, yes, my grandfather's uncle had been involved in politics, but after the war, he was one of the first group of politicians sentenced to death, so no one knows anything about him, but there is a slight connection there. So I was curious about who this man was and began researching his life through letters and historical documents. I was indeed, after my semester in Munich, shocked to verify that Russi van Marinov was indeed my direct relative, and his small act of defiance as one of the co-signers of a letter to King Boris to insist the Jewish population be saved helped avert the deportation of 50,000 Jews to Treblinka. His family never shared their story for fear of further persecution under the communist regime, and for this reason, I, an Australian-born student attending the Ivy League, had to tell both my mother and my existing relatives in Bulgaria of the first time of this unknown resistance. The two stories I share tonight serve as a powerful reminder of what a Penn education can do for someone's life, but also their entire family. My father's vision of democracy is just a mere extension of what Benjamin Franklin had for this university and indeed this great nation. And my discovery about my mother's family's past is really what to me symbolizes the heart of a Penn education, this commitment to intellectual integrity and the truth, which even if it is hidden for decades. The gifts you make tonight as donors may do far more than just pay for someone's tuition. They empower individuals, they provide hope to families, and they can transform our community. I have been blessed to study at this institution, and my dream one day is to be in your shoes and be able to offer a scholarship to someone and make that same impact that you have all done for your students. I will just leave you tonight with my father's favorite quote from Winston Churchill. "We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give." Thank you once more for giving and changing my life.